In this video, we will add north arrows and scale bars to the maps that apply in our layout, then export our layout to a PDF. To add a north arrow, unlock and click on the map that you want to add a north arrow for. In the Insert tab, click North Arrow and choose the style of north arrow that you'd like. Since each of these maps are at various scales and have different distortion patterns, only a few of the maps will use north arrows. Take a moment to think about which map would not be appropriate to use a north arrow for. Let's start with the World Lambert map on the bottom right. Since this is a conic projection and north is relative to the position on the map, a north arrow would not be appropriate. Moving on to the World GCS map on the bottom left. This is not a projected map, but by default, it is represented as if it were a cylindrical projection. In this case, north is represented as up in all portions of the map. In this case, a north arrow would be appropriate. The Oregon GCS map would also be able to use a north arrow. The Oregon Lambert map is at a scale that is using minimal distortion since the central meridian of the map is centered on Oregon. North is accurately represented as up. Make sure that your north arrow is positioned on the map frame and that it is in a position that is balanced to the layout. If you lose your spot on the map page while zooming in and out, just right-click on one of the maps in the drawing order and click Zoom to Layer. Now let's do the same process for our scale bar. Take a minute to think about what map would be appropriate to use a scale bar for. Starting again with the World Lambert map. Since there is significant distortion in all parts of the map other than the mid-latitudes, it does not accurately preserve distance other than in the state of Oregon. Thus, a scale bar should not be used for this map. For the World GCS map, the same concept applies. There is significant distortion in all directions other than the equator. So thus, for this scale, a scale bar would not be appropriate. For the Oregon Lambert map, there is distortion, but it's outside of our map frame. Thus, a scale bar would be appropriate since distance would be preserved within this section of the map at this scale. Lastly, the Oregon GCS map has increased distortion moving away from the equator. Thus, a scale bar would not be appropriate here either, since scale differs from the bottom of the map to the northern part of the map. Again, make sure to place your north arrows and scale bars on the map frame and in a position that looks balanced. Once you have your north arrows and scale bars in place, make sure in the descriptions to talk a little bit about the projection or the coordinate system that's used and if it's suitable for this map. Add if that the map is a small, medium, or large scale map, and talk a bit about the distortion patterns. In the next video, we will be exploring a website that will help illustrate distortion patterns for different projections in a little bit more detail.